I want to go to more of a cultural topic here. So this is, I think, this excellence mindset, particularly when it comes to masculinity. I think a cultural example that encapsulates this perfectly is the rise of Islam among younger men. And I think I've been watching this for a while. And by the way, I'm a Christian. I believe Jesus is the Son of God. I don't believe Islam is a valid religion. I don't believe in universalism, whatever. Although I have many Muslim friends, many friends in my communities that I'm a part of that I know personally. They're wonderful people. They're wonderful people. And I don't want this to be like, I don't hate Islamic people at all or Muslim people. Like, I don't. But I'm a Christian, so I'm going to advocate for my religion, if that's okay. On my platform, it should be okay. Anyway, even this YouTube might take this down, but who knows? So Islam, it's been very interesting because I've had multiple friends that have converted to Islam over the last couple of years. Like multiple friends in terms of like they were either raised a certain way, they were raised Muslim, they were raised Christian, or they were atheists, and they've just converted to Islam over the last couple of years. And it's interesting because I've seen this and I'm like, okay, well, what's behind that? Because the same is, I think, happening more and more in Christianity now, but it's just more. I'm seeing a rise in Islam unlike what I've ever seen in the past, and so I'm like, well, okay, why is that happening? And I think it's becoming more popular for young men for the following very uncomfortable reason. And this is going to offend some people. So Christianity does not emphasize masculine excellence, particularly evangelical Christianity, the non-traditional, non-Orthodox, non-Catholic Christian sects. They do not emphasize masculine excellence and masculine leadership and masculine authority. Islam does emphasize that. They emphasize the importance of masculinity, the importance of being a man, the importance of being a father, all those type of things. And what we've seen is this is really taking over the culture. So I talked about Andrew Tate, in my earlier segment. And Tate converted from Christianity to Islam for this reason. Now it could be trolling or whatever, but that's exactly true. But you watch, the UFC, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Islam Makhachev, Hamza Chimaev, like all these guys, Amir Albazi, like all these guys who are really dominating the UFC now. Like Islam is everywhere in terms of that. You look at boxing, Devin Haney, Tank Davis, like all these guys are just, they're converting to Islam. Young black men especially. And so it's swinging. So you have these big tough guys, right? Like these massive, like Tate's, think about what you want, but like Tate could beat the heck out of anybody. He has for the majority of his life. So could Tank Davis and Devin Haney and Khabib, obviously, and all these other guys. And young men are seeing this and they're saying like, oh, that's what a man looks like. So I might as well follow what he does. And that's why I think a lot of people are really just swinging towards Islam versus Christianity, because Christianity, and again, I think this is changing now, but especially over the last 10 years, I'm like, whoa, this is a big deal. And I think that overall, as a Christian, again, I have a lot of Muslim friends. I think Muslims are great people for the most part. I've never met a Muslim that's been outwardly mean to me or said like, you're an infidel or like whatever. So like, and I live in America, by the way. Americans are nice people. But as a Christian, this is a catastrophe. This is a disaster for our culture, for Christian culture. So if we lose young men in droves, which we are, and they're coming back in droves, we're also losing them in droves to this nihilism, to Islam, to multi-universalism, whatever you want to call it. And if we continue to just peddle the same just nonsense that's keeping young men away from the church, which is built on strong masculinity, don't get it twisted, it is. It's built on Christ, obviously, but men are the heads of household. We are the spiritual leaders of our families, of our communities, of our nation. It will falter and it will fail. It will falter and fail if we do not fix this issue with Christian masculinity, with Christian excellence. And I, by the way, I again, to maybe affirm some of my Muslim friends here, I understand the appeal of this. I do. I'm not going to convert to Islam. I believe in Jesus. I don't believe in Allah. But I understand the appeal of Islam to young men. Because you know why? All men want to be men. All men want to be the man. They want to be the man of the house. They want to be the cool dad down the street. They want to be the guy who's bringing in the money and, does this and does that. Any man who tells you that that's not what they want, they're lying to you. And they're lying to themselves at a core level, first and foremost, but they're lying to you as well. All men want to be the man. They want to be a provider. They want to be respected. They want to have status in the family, in the community. And Islam, to its credit, has always provided that. Even though I believe it's demonic, I believe it's a cult, obviously, because it's not Christianity. But Islam has always gotten that right. They've always gotten that right. And they've been horrible in terms of the way they've implemented it, particularly over in the Middle East. Like I'm not a fan of, this is not like pro-jihadi, like at all, obviously. But like this is something that they've always seemed to have gotten this right. And Christianity, by contrast, in the West especially, has gone away from this, which has caused their numbers among men about retention inside the church membership, etc., to be abysmal, especially among young men. So this needs to be a massive wake-up call to the church. The church has gone soft, which has driven the young men away. Young men want order. We want structure. We want rules. We want mission. We do not want this kind of like airy-fairy, nice gospel, whatever. We want the truth. We want the truth. We want it hard. We want it fast. And we want it from the Bible. None of this, be rich and God will drop a Ferrari on your front yard. None of that stuff. No. No, like, oh, God loves you even if you sin, even if you are unrepentant in your sin. No. This is a wake-up call to the church. You must not only embrace men, that's just one part of it, and that's not enough. You need to embrace masculinity. If the church is not masculine, the church will not get men, period, full stop. There needs to be an edge to Christianity. There needs to be I like to say it all the time with Mark Driscoll, who's one of my favorite pastors. You need to preach with your brass knuckles on. You need to be a brawler in the pulpit. And I'm not saying be a bully. I'm not saying demean women. I'm not saying, replace the gospel with some kind of worldly Andrew Tate style nonsense. But there needs to be some kind of a tough guy nature to Christianity, or else it fails. It just doesn't work if you don't do it that way. And I know men have different temperaments and all that kind of stuff. That's my pastors. That's fine. But this edge of Christianity is built into the religion. Jesus himself said, I believe in the Gospel of Luke, I did not come to bring peace. I came to bring a sword. I was sent here to divide families, to divide nations, to start wars. That's what Jesus said. And we have gone away from that, which has driven men who are wanting that edge to other places, to Islam especially. So if the church does not develop that edge and put that edge back into the pulpit, into the faith, young men won't follow it. We just won't. We will continue to lose numbers. And you know what we'll end up being? We'll end up being just like Europe. Europe is in the process of, Douglas Murray predicted this 10 years ago, is in the process of committing suicide. Christian Europe is committing suicide right now because it's completely impotent. It doesn't have teeth. It doesn't preach with brass knuckles on. The days of Spurgeon and C.S. Lewis and all the guys over there that really just were titans of the faith, that's gone. Completely gone. And you know what's reigning supreme over there? It's Islam. Islam is taking over Europe. Because strength against strength, Islam wins in Europe because it's a toothless, feckless, impotent Christianity. And it's happening in America as well. And do I want Muslims to be comfortable living in America? Yes. Do I want them to have places to worship? Yes. But do I believe that the church should sit back and take it? No, because I believe that Christianity is right. And I believe that Christianity is the truth. And I believe Christianity is the only way to have a functional society long term. And Europe is learning that the hard way now. And so the church needs to not only accommodate men, but we need to accommodate masculinity and preach masculinity in the pulpit. Or else we're in for a heap of trouble. And we already are. And there's been some positive momentum, but there needs to be more. We cannot get complacent about this at all.